Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. We want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, I get to speak with Altovise Pelzer. She is an award-winning women's empowerment coach, a best-selling author of A Stage of Their Own, and Speakeasy podcast host. She was encouraged to write at an age of 8 by her grandmother, and she later found that developing a love of writing would get her through many difficult situations. She founded the World Voice League and has been the host to the Speakeasy podcast for a few years. Now, we connected a few months ago, and Altovise was generous enough to send me a birthday wish. And I was like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Would you love to be a guest on my podcast? And she happily um, joined in and said, yes, absolutely. That would be awesome. So Altovise, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on to the podcast.
It's always a pleasure being able to connect with other podcasters and, share, just even the smallest little sliver of hope. I think right at this time, we could use a couple doses of those on a regular basis.
Absolutely. So being a beekeeper myself, and we know that it's towards summertime and fall is coming. We see a lot less flowers blooming. So yeah, there is some kind of need for some positivity, because when it's springtime, we feel a natural glow around us. So we feel, it reflects on us, and we're happy and we're more positive. But as it comes close to wintertime and fall time, we do need a dose of positivity, a dose of happiness, and anywhere you can find it, you want to you want to snatch it and share it with the rest of the world. So
That's
thank you
the
for
hope.
that. So tell us a version of your journey that no one's heard before. And I see that you've written a couple of books and you've done a lot of writing in many different areas. So tell us a little journey, a little story of, how you came to be, and, something that people haven't heard anywhere else.
So I always tell my story because I am a victor over molestation.
Mm.
I am someone who has been homeless. I'm a single mother. So, that puts me on the outskirts of the in crowd for the majority of things. But one of the pieces of my story that I don't talk about often is the divorce.
Mm.
And it's interesting because people, whether you're on the end of the person that initiated the divorce or the person that didn't initiate it, there's this huge sense of failure that comes from having to go through that whole process of separation after you've spent so much time with this person.
Yeah.
uh, that has been your world, that's been your life, and there's always this sense of failure. And what I did not realize was how much of an impact and that sense of failure really followed me throughout the years, even after the divorce was final.
Yeah.
So it was a seed, and it germinated, and the roots went all throughout how I spoke about myself, how I thought about myself, how I thought about business and finances. And it really did affect me in a bigger way than what I saw. So I really had to go back through a process of uprooting all of that stuff that was connected to the divorce and start over again by saying that I was enough. It was not an easy process. And the year that I thought that I was going to do it, I said, yes, I'm going to do it. I got this. As soon as I said it and confirmed it within my heart that that was what I was going to do, another failure happened, and I
Mhm.
was actually evicted from my home.
Oh,
Yeah, so me and my children are literally taking all of our things and putting them on the sidewalk. Uh, and it was crazy. But that following day, I had a decision to make. Do I still go on a trip that, I had already had planned and was eager
mhm.
to go to, or do I just go ahead and just scratch it and have my pity party and, oh, what was me? And I'm going through, this difficult situation.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I realized, oh my goodness, that one failure really did have a huge hold on me, more than what I thought, simply because I had invested so much into my relationship and being a mother and being a wife. And uh, I had lost my identity.
Yeah.
I had completely lost it. And it was that next day, it was literally, we were evicted December 31st of 2015. And it was January 1st of 2016 that I took that flight, even in the midst of everything that we were going through.
Yeah.
And it completely changed everything.
That's really that's really crazy. Because right, so like you mentioned, right, if you had canceled that trip, nothing would have come better of it because now you'd be drowning in even more sorrow and more pain, but getting away from it all and taking that trip, it it it's kind of like a reset, right? It helped you see things from a totally different perspective.
And it
And
felt so good.
mhm. That is
It
awesome.
did. But something amazing happened on that,
Mhm.
that trip. The first flight was just regular flight. My second flight, my ticket didn't have a group number.
Mhm.
And so I had to go to the booth and let them know. And they told me just to go in with group two. And I said,
Yeah.
all right, well, I'll go in group two. Now, this is the part of the story that most people hear about,
Uh-huh.
is that, I go, they call group two, I stand in line, and they call my name over the loudspeaker. So I have to go back to the booth. And when I go back to the booth, they hand me a first class ticket.
Mm.
And that completely changed how I saw everything, because even in the midst of my situation, if I don't just push through a little bit harder, a little bit more, if I don't take that next step, I don't know what first class upgrade is going to be waiting for me on the other side.
Oh my god. That's powerful. You got to keep pushing through to get that diamond, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Wow. And so I noticed that you recently interviewed Donnie Boyven on your podcast.
He's
And
awesome, isn't
he
he?
is an amazing gentleman. And I'm in his group, the Champions group, and he's every day he's bringing positivity. He's asking questions. And one time he had this image posted where it's an image where two people are digging, and one guy comes up and he's got this tiny diamond he shows off. And this guy's like, whoa, this guy found this diamond down there. And he stops digging his own, his struggle, and he jumps into the other hole. Like, okay, let me go find find a diamond in there. And then they zoom out from that picture and you see that there's a huge diamond
Hmm.
where he was digging. Like, if he had only continued his own route, and
A
that's
little while longer.
just a little while longer, because everybody comes from a totally different journey, from a totally different mindset, from totally, everybody has their individual stories and journeys and their individual characteristics, and no two people are the same. Even if they're twins, they have such a different personality, and you've gotta stop being a copycat and do your own thing.
And it's interesting. When it came to my journey,
Hmm.
um, when I tried to follow the structure and the strategies, because can I be honest and say that,
Absolutely.
listen, the gurus, they got it. They got strategies. They
Mm-hmm.
do. They have $1 million and $1 billion strategies, amazing strategies.
Yeah.
But just because it's $1 billion strategy does not mean it's going to be your $1 billion strategy.
That's right.
And I found myself bumping my head on a couple walls trying to implement everything that I was being taught, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that were, do it this way, go about it this way, change up this way. And none of it worked for me.
Yeah.
That first year that I rebranded in 2016, the
Mm-hmm.
first 3 classes that I went and marketed, I had absolutely no signups.
Yeah.
None. And it wasn't until that fourth thing, keep pushing,
Mm-hmm.
that fourth thing that I went and launched was my accountability group. And it was a membership, it was weekly accountability. It's still going strong today, 3 years,
Nice.
almost 4 years later. And it turned into the foundation for my business, which is the World Voice League.
Yeah.
But if I would have stopped, because I would have said, "Oh, well, I launched 3 times, nobody signed up,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's just that.
Yeah.
No, it just wasn't. That wasn't what they wanted from me.
Mm-hmm. That's
That
right.
wasn't what they needed from me.
Yeah, that's really powerful because it all comes down to doing those 10,000 experiments because it's all an experiment, right? I
Exactly.
mean, we all go through life experimenting. Is this going to work? Is this going to work? And sure, there are surefire things that you can go through and get to a stopping point because it's all a matter of one journey to the next journey to the next journey. You're taking bus stops from one stop to the next stop. That bus is not going to take you any further than that stop. From
Exactly.
there, you got to get on your airplane, or you got to get on your other train. It's different journeys, and sometimes you're like, okay, I'm here now. Where's the starting point? Where do I board on the next journey? And a lot of time, people are struggling to find that next boarding. That next gate. Where is that next gate? And yeah, that's really powerful.
Yes, indeed. And the other thing is, we have to remember too that everybody's traveling the journey by a different means of and mode of transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You have some people that are walking, some people
Mm-hmm.
that are driving, some
Yeah.
people may be on a flight, some may be on a spaceship, some,
Yeah.
everybody's traveling using a different mode of transportation. Just because that's the transportation that's working for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Exactly.
You have to have a driver's license. If you attempt to drive a car without a driver's license,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to give you the insight on that one.
Hmm.
It goes bad.
That's a really excellent point because
Like, spoiler alert, it
yeah,
goes bad.
it's gonna go bad, right? It's like when you first and you can look at a child's life or even your own life. When did you start driving? You're right. You had to go take the test. You have to get that driver's license. Then you try to drive, and it's even for cycling. If you think somebody else is they're getting there faster because they're riding a bike, well, you got to know how to ride a bike,
Exactly.
right? And today I was taking my son to the appointment, and I saw a sign behind a dump truck, and it says we're looking for operators and loaders or whatever. I'm like, that's really interesting. I wonder what it would take somebody to be able to be hired. I'm sure they would need a different license, driver's license, to be able to operate a heavy machinery because the driver's license that we have to operate a level C car, which is any car or a SUV or a light truck. But anything bigger than that, the dynamics, the physics, and everything, all that change
Hmm.
exponentially.
Exactly. And it's a process because
Hmm.
before a certain age, you can't drive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, we've had some try. I know there's in the news some 10-year-olds and 9-year-olds that are out there trying, but there's a reason why.
Hmm.
you're not supposed to drive into a certain age, and it's because of your reflexes, it's because of your mental capacity, your ability to focus, and
Hmm.
there's so many different things. So we can't force the process.
Yeah, you have to be a certain age, and that goes directly into the, my son was asking me, when can I drive, because he saw a Mazda Miata parked at the gas station, and it's a tiny car. And he's like, can kids buy that car? I'm like, sure. Like, but you need a driver's license. I'm like, well, can I pay and get a driver's license? Like, well, you have to meet the age requirement. You got to be at least 16 years old. Like, but why? Like, well, because you've got to have these mental capacities, be able to view all the mirrors and look and judge around what is going on around you, to be able to make those swift changes and be able to drive safely. And a lot of the times you'll see cars driving that it says new driver
Mm.
or student driver, because they just got their license and they're just letting other drivers who's been driving for a while that
Beware.
beware. I might I might make a wrong turn. And that comes back to, being or jumping into something like being a coach or being an author, writing anything. And as entrepreneurs, that label should clearly say that we're an entrepreneur, meaning we might do some things that might not work, right? Sometimes some things might work, some things might not. Just because I'm an entrepreneur, just because I have a driver's license, doesn't mean I'm 100% successful at driving because I
Exactly.
just started.
Exactly. You got to understand what's going to work for you,
Hmm.
and be okay with walking away. I think
That's true.
that's the most important things, is that I have to be okay with saying no. I have to be okay with walking away. Some people get scared when it comes to firing a client, or firing a coach, or just being able to say, this isn't working. Let me do something that's going to work instead.
Yeah.
Instead, we'll stay in that toxic, environment. We'll stay in that toxic relationship, and
Hmm.
it's dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, some heavy stuff, some really knowledgeable and actionable stuff, actually, right? All of this information is super actionable because, hey, if you're able to look at what your life is right now, see what mistakes you're making, and able to accept those mistakes and learn from them and make a change, then you've learned something, then you're growing.
Oh, most definitely. I tell people all the time, one of the reasons why I'm so transparent about my journey is because
Hmm.
I never want you to think that it's all it's all glitter and rainbows.
Yeah.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
Would I quit this and go back to working a job? No, never,
Yeah.
never. But it has its bumps and bruises. I have my scars.
Hmm.
I have my battle wounds from, doing this journey, and I'm just 5 years in as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. In the first 2 years, I was still working. Well, first 3 years, I was still working a full-time job.
Yeah.
And in the first 2 years, I wasn't even focused on what it is I wanted to do.
Hmm.
The first 2 years, I was MLM and just trying to figure out something, trying to do it all.
Yeah.
And it takes you some time. And I think that's one of the things that we don't discuss enough, is that it's going to take time. We have so many people that will go and push the overnight success and push, you making $1 million this weekend. Well, it's doable, but they didn't do it overnight.
Hmm. Hmm.
They have about
Exactly.
100 million followers, which is
Yeah,
why they were able to make 1 million in a weekend.
exactly. So true. You know, it reminds me of the different struggles that other people go through. Well, we're all other people going through different struggles. But one specific story that I remember reading, Kevin Hart's book, right? His autobiography. And of course, Audible is so much easier. So I did the Audible version, and it was really awesome is that Kevin Hart himself, read his own book.
Yes,
It
and,
was,
and that it was so funny listening
it
to
was
it.
so
One, the
funny.
book itself stood out,
Yeah, it did.
but listening to it in his actual voice just that took me under.
Yes, exactly. And then his story, right? His work ethic. The reason he's been so successful is because he built that work ethic thanks to his mom,
Mhm.
right? You're you're not doing nothing. You're gonna be either swimming or going to school or being by my side. You know, she made sure that he was super busy all the time, and then waiting. All that waiting for a bus to get from one place to the other place. They didn't have those luxuries, but then that built in him the resilience and the work ethic, which enabled him to go and build ask his own terms for all the movies that he's in. He writes his own dialogues
Mhm.
every single movie. And that's why everything comes so authentic because nobody else wrote it for him. It's him who's writing it down.
Exactly.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, dude, that just blows my mind. I mean, writing your own, and he's essentially written his own ticket. And to be able to do that, right? He worked his ass off. He's like, we're gonna go town to town to town. We're gonna get these emails. We're gonna tell people we're coming. And then he did that journey. Really awesome book. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to this book, you got to check it out, and it's really cool. Awesome.
Most definitely. I think one of the things that stood out from his book, I'm such a reader. I'm a readaholic.
Hmm.
And one of the things that stood out was he was real about, after the failure of the show,
Yeah.
that he really was going through depression and
Oh yeah.
he didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to get up. He didn't want to because it was like you came off of this high.
Hmm.
You had success. You had, even if it was a small amount, if it was a big amount, you have success.
Yeah.
Something happens and knocks the legs from underneath you, and you're left trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
What's next? What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And even though those two words, it's only two words, it's a small sentence. That
What's
sentence
next?
is so hard to answer.
Hmm. What's next for you?
Hmm.
And that goes back to the point. You've gotten on the bus, and in school, going to high school, going through college for your college, whatever. That's a bus trip. Right. Everybody's jumping on this bus. Some
Mm.
people get left behind because they stopped, the bus stopped, go use the restroom, whatever. And then people just didn't get back on the bus, so they got left behind. They didn't finish college. They didn't get to their destination. But once you get to that destination, all right, you've got your degrees. And then that's why they have those amazing commencement speeches trying to tell you that keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't give up your dream.
Don't do it. Be careful. If
Exactly.
not,
Yeah.
you'll be thinking about this same moment
Hmm.
20 years from now. You'll be looking at your children,
Yeah.
trying to explain to them the same thing that somebody tried to explain to you.
Hmm. One book that I started reading is called hmm, So in it there was a quote about, you know, the author asks this audience and asks them, what do you think is the most expensive place? And people are naming islands, they're naming cities, they're naming states and whatnot. And he goes, no, you're wrong. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, the most expensive place is the graveyard,
Mm-hmm.
because people who've died, who didn't follow through their dreams, things they want to do. Because when you're on your deathbed, the last day of your life, you're not going to be like, oh man, I should have spent another day at work. Oh man, I should have spent another day waiting in line. No, you think about those dreams that you have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this book by Todd Henry is called Die Empty, Unleash Your Best Work Every Day. So living by that philosophy, die empty, you know, get your ideas out in front of the world.
Yeah,
Because
that's it's we think that it's already been done.
yeah, right? That's the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, we think it's already been done. It's a saturated market. And so we start to question, are we really supposed to be the next dot dot dot? Are we really supposed to be going into this industry? And we really do question ourselves and say, no, no, it's enough people out there already doing that. And so I'm not going to write my book.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get on stage and speak. But when we do that, we're robbing somebody of their future.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, take a look at in this world we have Snapchat, right? Snapchat came out with this technology where they had 10-second videos. That's it. Facebook tried to buy them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Snapchat said, no, we're not selling you this. So we're like, fine, we'll make another app. Facebook tried to make another app that mimicked it. Didn't really work. But now, look at all the apps that are using that same technology in their apps. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter even has it, right? All of these apps have that same story capability. Just because one's doing it, I mean, that's why we have so many different grocery stores. Sure, you might go to one grocery store, but there's a ton of grocery stores. There's a ton of dentists. Because there's 7.6 billion people in this world. Somebody needs to hear your story. So write that book when you can.
That's it. And it's interesting because I know somebody posted online the
Mm-hmm.
picture of the bread aisle, and they said, if you think that it's a saturated market, just walk down the bread aisle.
Exactly.
There's so many brands of bread, and then they had the nerve to come out with new bread. What? It's
Yeah.
bread.
Exactly.
It's bread.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's what people want. You go down the
Yes.
chip aisle.
Mm-hmm.
It's what people want.
Especially
There's a whole aisle just of bread. There's a whole aisle just of chips. There's a whole aisle just of water.
yeah. I think people, what they're hung up on is that they want the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that company or that bakery that came out with the cronut. That's the next big thing. Like, whoa. But now every every bakery you can get a cronut. Sure, it's not the original one, but it still tastes the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get no backlash because I haven't tasted the original. I've only tasted the one from Dunkin' Donut. Right? So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It puts you in that mindset of I'm not good enough. You know how we get into that childhood mindset of
Mhm.
I can't do it. I'm not big enough. I'm
Yeah.
not old enough. oh, woe is me. I wish I was older so that way I could do it. And it's that, that childhood mentality comes like rearing its head
Yeah.
in those times where we know we have the purpose, we have a vision, we have the passion for it, but we won't go after it because we're also thinking about making sure the bills are taken care of, and do they
Yeah.
have holes in their shoes, and is the electric paid for this month?
Yeah.
Those types of things are always in the back of our mind. But here it is, we have a vision that can take us so much further.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to an interview with Jeff Bezos, and he was talking about, one of the things that he did when he was when he was starting Amazon was that, he was excited about it because he thought, when I'm 80,
Yeah.
what am I going to think about this investment? What am I going to think about starting this company and what that's going to feel like? He's just like, man, even if I fail, I tried.
Yeah. You got to try.
That's
You've
it.
got to try. Or like Yoda says, it's do or do not. There is no try.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh man. All right. Um, what is some of your motivations for the things that you do? I mean, we talked a lot about, about the why we're doing these things because, we're very motivated in helping others, in reaching out and touching another person's soul. So, what are some of your motivations on a daily basis? And I'm sure your children are one of them.
Yes, my babies. My babies. I am a single mother of four teenagers.
Wow.
They keep me busy, 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 busy. But one of the things that I always said over them was that I wanted them to have a different experience in life than what I ever had.
Yeah.
And I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Um, you know, there are many that I grew up with that are no longer here, and I'm only 39.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are many that did not make it past 25. There's many
Yeah.
that did not make it past 20. And I said I wanted a different experience for them.
Yeah.
And so we, of course, no longer live in Philadelphia. We
Mm-hmm.
live in a small town, but we're creating our own experiences. And they're they range in their personalities, but they're all
Mm-hmm.
into the arts.
Yeah.
Um, Two of them have played, no, three of them played instruments or are still playing instruments.
Mm-hmm.
They're speaking different languages. They're wanting to travel the world. They love to travel here in the States.
Yeah.
They it's a different atmosphere for them completely. And that was one of the things that drove me
Mm-hmm.
was, just having that different experience for them.
Yeah.
And so when they see me do stuff, it's interesting because when they see me do stuff, I'm still just mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just mom. I go live. She does this podcast thing.
Yeah.
She wrote a couple books and, she does something.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, he made me smile the one day he came to me and he asked just as honest. He said, "So how exactly do you make money?"
Where do you go?
He's like, "What are you do?" Because when I worked a job, they saw me leave, they saw me
Mm-hmm.
come back, they saw me stressed, they saw
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
struggle, and he now I'm home, and like I said, I live stream, I
Mm-hmm.
do my podcast, I'm writing books, and he's just like, "How exactly do you make money?"
Yeah.
And so, we had that conversation, and I broke it down for him, and he said, "Oh," he said, "So people pay you to help them?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yes, they pay me to help them tell their story."
Yeah.
That's what it is. Everything that I do, that's what it's connected to. Is helping somebody to tell their story.
That's really powerful. I love it. I love it so far. All right. Well, we've had a really amazing conversation. You get to learn about your journey, learn about, why you do the things that you're doing and how you make money and how how we also be making money, through helping each other out and um wherever your powers are, go get those out to the world because that is what makes you unique. So there's some question that I always like to ask my guests towards the end, and what is one hobby that you wish you got into?
Hmm. I have to say, one of the hobbies that I wish I had gotten into was learning to play music. I love to write, but I am a music junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Like reading, writing, and listening to music. That's me. You would not find me for hours on end. And my children had the opportunity to learn different instruments or
Mm-hmm.
they sing and but the music is one of the things that really connects all of us.
Yeah.
So the running joke in my home is if you were standing outside of my home and we never came out the door, you would not know what genre, you would not know what nationality lived in my home. Reggae, reggaeton, calypso, jazz, R&B, hip hop,
Mhm.
K-pop. When I tell you it runs the gambit,
That's awesome.
it runs the gambit. And my girls are actually into musicals.
Oh,
So
nice.
learn about all the old musicals and learn about all the old singers and things that they would do. I mean, it's just you would not know at all at any given time. There could be techno playing or there could be reggae music playing, and you would just be as confused as can be standing
Yeah.
outside of the window.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I love music as well, and um it's really powerful what it can do and bring people together.
Most
Fantastic.
definitely.
Now, going in the same genre, well, a little bit over, adding some visuals to the music part. What would be your favorite movie or TV show?
So I have a couple shows that I love. I'm into the crime shows. So Criminal Minds is like top,
Mm-hmm.
but just recently, because I've had a little more downtime,
Yeah.
I started doing like How to Get Away with Murder and
Mm.
Grey's Anatomy. And
Okay.
most people would think, okay, well, you're just, binge watching those because they're on Netflix. No, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love storytelling.
Yeah.
And so certain shows are really good at storytelling. And
Mm.
for instance, with How to Get Away with Murder, how it's broken down that it takes you through the season, it's taking you back to present day and then previous day,
Yeah.
back in the past.
Mm.
That just, I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
It drew me in completely.
Nice.
Um, but it also, it intrigued me. It made me think about things that I have going on. And it goes back to what Jeff Bezos was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, projection and literally saying, okay, when I'm 80 and I look back on this, how am I going to feel? And that's
Yeah.
how we're seeing it. So I love crime shows. And I just found out recently through a conversation with my son, I really love heist movies. I don't know if I should be saying this on
No, I think you're absolutely
recorded
right. You're
line.
absolutely okay with talking about heist movies over here because one of the greatest heist movie of all time is Endgame. They do a time heist. They go back in time.
Yes, I never even thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love that. My son was like, we because he just graduated high school, so we've been spending a little bit more time together.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what movie you want to watch?
Yeah.
My favorites are, Italian Job, Going in
Yeah.
60 Seconds. Like, I
Mhm.
love those. All of the, well, not, okay, we'll say all of the Fast and Furious for the recording.
We can skip number 3. It's okay.
We can skip number 3. I love how they were able to bring 3 back in later
I
on.
know they were. That was really good.
It was really good. And again, that's back to me storytelling,
Mhm.
So 3 kind of threw me, but
Yeah.
when they brought it back in, I was okay with it.
Mhm.
But man, just looking at, just again, it's the anticipation, the build up, and something happens, and how are you going to bounce back? I love that. I
Yeah.
just really love it.
Yeah. It's really powerful. And what's funny, right? They are on movie number 9 now with Shaw and Hobbs.
I know, isn't
And
that awesome?
you wouldn't believe it, right? It's one of the longest trilogies. Well, it's not a
Hmm.
trilogy anymore, but a continuation. Sure, Marvel broke the record with 24 movies, but
Hmm.
with different stories coming together. But continuing with one story, uh, Star Wars is they just got number 9 approved or coming later this year, I think. But it's really a nice job that they've been
Yeah.
doing over there.
And you know what's funny
Hmm.
when you look at the franchise as a whole,
Yeah.
I love that some of the actors that they've had
Hmm.
did not start out acting.
Yeah, they didn't.
That absolutely blows my mind, and it's just the whole franchise has been such a huge success. But some of the people on there did not start out as actors,
Yeah,
and it just goes to show when you see something that you really want to go after, go all in,
exactly.
go 100% all in. I know when The Rock, first made their transition, when um Ludacris was first trying to make his transition, and
Hmm.
Tyrese, yeah, you look back at Tyrese, he started out singing on a
Yeah.
commercial.
That's so true. That is very true. And talk about actors, the movie actors. Some of the people that started out as background extras, Brad Pitt is one
Hmm.
of those guys, right? Um, and what's really cool, we're just jumping into the next question and talking about your favorite movie and the how the actors grew through the movie timelines. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it? So you get to pick a character in a movie that you get to play.
Ooh. So there's, oh my goodness, wow. So there's like two.
Hmm.
One I would say no to because I can't really sing,
Okay.
but that would be the story of Lena Horne
Okay. Story
and
of
her
Lena Horne.
journey
Hmm.
and her life. And then the other one would be, I think the other one would possibly be a toss up with either the story of Michelle Obama or the story of Dr. Maya Angelou. Only because we see like again the progression of
Hmm.
where they came from, how
Yeah.
much work they really put into, really achieving their dreams, and
Yeah.
literally them achieving something that was beyond where they even thought they would go.
Yeah. It's amazing what the human mind can do.
Yeah, truly, truly amazing.
Fantastic. All right. Last question. Who is your favorite superhero?
Let's see. I am a superhero fan, but let's see. I like Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
Um, but I would have to say that my absolute favorite, and this is probably a little weird, but Iron Man is my favorite.
Oh, he's my favorite too. Oh my God. My entire podcast journey question is based on um what he does in his movie. In his, the first movie, you see the journey. You see how he's in the cave and he builds like the building process is what I'm really passionate about. How things work and work together. That's what I love about. So awesome. Where can my audience find you? There's one more question, and this is where it's a very special question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Wow, a board game. So, huh, a board game. I would have to say that I would be, I would have to say I would be the game of Clue.
The game of Clue. There you go. Nice.
Yeah, I would have to say I'd be the game of Clue. There's been enough going on in my life that
Mm-hmm.
you really don't know what's in that envelope.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. So very powerful. Awesome. Well, Altovise, it was really awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time. Where can my audience find you?
So you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram at World Voice League. On Facebook, if you put in hashtag World Voice League, you can come join our free Facebook group.
Awesome.
We love supporting people from all over the world. That's one of the things that we are really big on,
Mm-hmm.
is providing the world with an opportunity and a platform to have their voice heard.
Yeah.
And, everything that we do outside of that is, it's just icing on the cake.
Yes.
It is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for your time. This was really lovely talking with you. Really wish you an awesome day, and we'll connect again. Thank you so much for your time.
Most definitely.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.